Hello and welcome to another episode of Young Black Misses. I am your host, Morgane F, and today's episode is all about Black love. So I have the honor of talking to Kacie Thompson, the Hitched Bitch, in the main event. And let me tell you a little bit more about Kacie before we hop into the other segments. Kacie is a badass boss woman and wife, mother, and organizational change management expert at a top-notch Washington, D.C. consulting firm with more than a decade of experience. She's helped diverse clients navigate major shifts in business operations, culture, and worked one-on-one with individuals to help them embrace, adapt, and manage major changes. After getting engaged to the man of her dreams, Kacie soon found herself struggling with what it meant to be married and be somebody's wife. Through her journey to stay a strong, independent Black woman, she learned tactics that helped her and her girlfriends understand their emotions and be open to embracing change while preparing to tie the knot. The Hitched Bitch Guide helps women be strong, independent, and self-aware while learning how to be open and vulnerable. Kacie wants her readers to embrace their inner bitch, all while embracing their emotions to become their best selves and happy, healthy wives. Our conversation was absolutely incredible, and in honor of Black History Month, I'm dedicating this month to all things Black. And so, since it's Young Black Misses, I had to have someone in the dating and relationship space to speak with us. So I hope you will enjoy our conversation, but we're going to get into my favorite segment. Shaking my curls. I'm shaking my curls. I'm shaking my curls. Shaking my curls. I'm shaking my curls. I'm shaking my curls. I'm shaking my curls. Shaking my curls. So I realized, it's February, we're talking love, and I realized that everybody wants different things in a relationship. And I'm really grateful to have had the opportunity or the knowledge before getting married to read this book called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. I'm looking down at it right now. And so I'm going to share with you the 5 love languages before I shake my curls. So words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. And my love language is quality time and physical touch. And so if my husband and I are cuddling, life is good, because it's hitting both. You spending time with me and you touching me, bam, bam, thank you, sir. Or thank you, man. I guess that would have sounded better. But I'm shaking my curls at this because I've been in conversations with multiple friends, and then I said this, and I realized that's not their love language, Morgane. I'm really the type of chick that really doesn't need a man to buy me things. Gifts are nice. Gifts are real nice. But actions are so much louder. So when I think about people that are bragging on getting a designer bag or, so-and-so buying you certain things, your spouse or your significant other buying you certain things, and that equates to them as love, I just kind of roll my eyes. But then I remind myself that, maybe gifts is that person's love language. And as long as they understand that, then that's good. And I really think about that J-Lo song, Love Don't Cost a Thing. And I truly think that, it doesn't matter about the things you can buy me. It matters about the time we spend together. It matters about you understanding what I care for as a person. That just speaks volumes to me. I am so curious, what is your love language? Do you know your love language from just reading that? What do you think? So let me know, slide into my DMs, or I might pose the question. Actually, it's not a bad idea. I might pose the question, what is your love language? And just kind of see what is your love language? And yes, I'm shaking my curls at people that are their love language is gifts. Because that's not my thing, but for you, it might work. Okay, on to the next segment. What you chewing? What I'm chewing. Okay, I don't even know what this is called. So, went to Aldi and purchased a few of their bowls. Let me see. I'm reaching for it now. Okay, got the bowl. So, this is a Korean style sweet chili noodle bowl. It is vegan and it is ready in 2 minutes. And my husband made it, and no shade, I don't think he made it right. But that's okay. We're gonna see what this is like. Oh, there's like a little liquid at the bottom. Huh. Okay, let's see. It's supposed to be a little spicy. That's pretty good. Well, it has that gochujang sauce in it that is spicy. I don't know how long these will be around. So, yeah. If you like hauls like this, well, you can always check my YouTube channel out, where I do different hauls about little new finds that I find at the grocery stores. I'm hoping to go to Trader Joe's pretty soon and check out theirs and see what kind of haul they have, or kind of new stuff they have, so I can do another haul. But that's what I'm chewing. It's pretty tasty. All right, on to the next segment. Hello and welcome to the main event. I have a special guest with me, Miss Kacie. Say hello.
Hello, hello. Hey, girl. Hey.
Yes. Hey, girl. Hey. Now, you might could tell me this. Okay. I don't cuss on the show. I don't cuss on the show, but I had to say 3 cuss words reading your bio, or maybe 4. So the Hitched Bitch. So tell my listeners a little about your work and how you got into the marriage space and being an author yourself of your book.
Yes, yes. Well, first and foremost, Morgan, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm a huge fan of your work. You're doing such amazing things. So I just want to first and foremost say that I am honored to even be a guest
Oh,
um,
thank
on
you.
your show. Yeah, so thank you for that. So in terms of me giving an introduction, yes. So I will give my background in terms of what I do by day and how I became a relationship expert by night. So, by day, I am an organizational change management expert. So, I work here. I reside in the Washington D.C. metropolitan area. So, I work within the public sector. And so, my background is really helping organizations make major transformations and changes within their organization. So, what that means is that anytime there is something that's occurring that's going to impact people, whether it's a new system, a reorg, new solutions, processes, and procedures, they bring in what they call a change management expert to handle that people side of the change. And so, what my specialty by day is working on major IT implementations with different federal clients. Like I said, that's what I do by day. And by night, and something that I am so passionate about is that I am the creator of the Hitched Bitch. Just to give you a little bit of background, Morgan, the birthing, I will say, of the Hitch Bitch came out of me getting engaged. Oh my gosh, I'd probably say like 11, almost 12 years ago.
Whoop,
Um,
whoop.
I know, right? My husband and I, we've been married for over 9 years now. But the whole idea and concept behind the Hitch Bitch was I was super excited. I absolutely loved and adored my boyfriend at the time, my fiance, once he proposed to me. His name is Gilbert, by the way. And I just felt like, oh, I am ready. I am ready to be somebody's wife. Like, I know it. And then after I got the ring, I looked down at it, Morgan, and I was like, oh my gosh, am I really ready for this? Like, am I ready to be somebody's wife? Like, I'm in DC. All my girlfriends were single. I mean, we're living the good life,
You're out here dipping and doing it, huh?
trying to. And, for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is a huge step. And so there were, along with all of the excitement that one feels with being engaged and, embarking on this new chapter, for me, I definitely had a mixture of emotions where I had a lot of fear, I had concerns, I wanted to make sure that I was prepared and setting myself up for success. And so, like I said, with that, it was a lot of challenges and bumps that I went through, but I had an amazing fiance and now husband that helped me through it. And so, for myself, what I realized was that in my journey, I really felt like I could not share how I was feeling about making this transition. And when I say that, as a Black woman, and when you're coming up on the age of 30, a lot of times people will kind of, put the pressure on you. They'll say, all right, well, you're coming of a certain age, you know, do you want to, get married? You've got to take things seriously. So for me, I was really afraid, Morgan, that if I shared some of my concerns, that I was not going to get the really unbiased opinion. So I kept it bottled up inside.
Mm.
And I communicated to my partner, to my husband. I went to premarital counseling. I did one-on-one therapy. So I really just made sure it was kind of like my individual journey. After we tied the knot, though, that's when I kind of felt like, okay, whew, I've made it through. And I started talking to all of these other women, Morgan, and I found out that a lot of other women had the same um, concerns and fears that I did, but they were keeping it bottled up inside or weren't just really sharing it. Because when you think about your wedding and marriage, you only see the glitz and glamour.
Right.
You see all these viral engagements on Instagram and Facebook, and you just see all of the real highlights and how it's this fairy tale, but they really don't go and they also talk about how to plan your perfect wedding. Nobody's kind of talking about everything that needs to go on behind the scenes so that you can be mentally prepared for that step. And so given that, like I said, my background's in organizational change management. And so what I decided to do was try to figure out if there was a way I could create some sort of process or approach for women to be able to easily transition from being single to engaged to being married. And so, with that, I went out, I started interviewing actually hundreds of women. Um,
Wow.
Over the course of a couple of years, I interviewed a series of different experts in the field of marriage and family. I also have some sex therapists as well that provided great insights. And so, saying all that to say, I was able to put together this book, and it was called, I won't even say is called The Hitched Bitch's Guide to Going from Fiance to Badass Boss Wife. And the reason I know your listeners and you are probably also wondering, where did the bitch come from?
Yes.
And so it came from an honest and an authentic place of how I engage with some of my closest girlfriends. And it's honestly a term of, some people might say endearment, but how could it be endearment? But it's one of those things where we use it jokingly, and we'll
Yeah.
say like, "What's up, bitch? Hey, bitch," or "bitch." You know what I'm saying? Like when they're trying to keep it real with me.
And there's all different meanings to it. I feel you. It's kind of like girlfriends, you know, when they
Yeah.
have the bitch the bitch what's the name? This is going to be a lot of cussing. Sorry, guys. um uh the little oh, well, you're saying it too much. I'm sorry. I binge watch Netflix. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry.
No, no, you're totally fine.
But so many things that you were saying made me think of exactly how I felt. And I said that before we got on this call. Like, that's exactly how I felt. Like, even in the first couple of episodes of this podcast, if you guys go back and listen to the first season, I'm addressing, I don't know what it feels like to be a wife, you know?
Yeah.
And knowing that I'm not the only person that feels like that is great. So,
Yeah.
just a couple years later, I still don't feel like I'm like somebody's wife. I just feel like that's my man and we're together, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And that's how I feel like it should be. And so, with the whole Hitch Bitch concept, like I said, it's an umbrella brand. It's going to be a series of different books and content that is meant to help women. But one of the things I really liked about the whole bitch, I'll just call it a hitch bitch state of mind, is that a lot of times people look at bitch as kind of being harsh, that, oh, she's got to be aggressive or whatever the case might be. And I do think there is an aspect of that. But in terms of the way I embrace it, I really look at it as a way for me to really stand in my truth, just who I am. The whole hitch bitch thing, like you guys are like getting how I talk and engage with, like I said, my inner closest circle of girlfriends. And like these are women that have everything from, your bachelor's degree to your PhDs, you know
mm,
what I'm saying? And we just use it very casually. Um,
yes.
but what I've learned, Morgan, is that over, my, 9 plus, years, well, I'm moving toward that 10-year mark.
Woo.
What I've learned is that I've really had to come into my own and just really, be strong in my stance, whether it's boundaries, whether it's, effectively communicating, whether it's, going after what it is I might want from a career perspective. It's just really been more of a focus on confidence for me to just be like, yeah,
Mm.
like I'm a badass bitch. Like I own it. It's good. And so, and also I just want to kind of quickly go back to one of the things that you had mentioned is that, you can study as much as you want to on a variety of subjects, but there is nothing that you can study that is going to prepare you to be a wife or a husband or have like a legit, successful, happy, healthy marriage. Like
Mm.
there's nothing. And so it's one of those things where literally every day you're just kind of working on building, the foundation to your house, your marriage house, and making sure that you have that solid foundation that you can build on that, and that you and your partner can really create that happy home life.
Oh, I love all of that. I'm just so happy there's this avenue within your brand that are speaking to like women, black women about this. And so, the conversation I definitely want to have with you is about your thoughts
Mhm.
on black love and marriage, being a wife. And so like the first thing I'm curious about, I see you on the gram with the
Mhm.
factoids and I'm here for it. I need to make a reel. Like,
You should
sidebar.
do it.
I know, but you make them look so freaking fun. I'm like, I just need to get up there and just do something. I don't know what I would do, but I could do something. But what would you say is your best piece of advice for like someone newly married or maybe even newly engaged?
Yes, yes. Okay. Actually, before I get into that
Yeah, what's up?
question, I wanted to just quickly mention to the ladies that um, in terms of the process that I developed for the Hitch Bitches Guide,
Oh.
One of the things that I developed, like I said, was a 5-step process in terms of helping women transform or transition. And one of the cool things I think that I did not highlight that I wanted to highlight for you is that it's really rooted in a lot of business minded principles.
Mm.
So, if you're a woman that does kind of like a process or just kind of say, okay, how can I organize my thoughts or approaches? I infused a lot of different organizational change management concepts from a business perspective into this approach. And that's one of the things that helped me on my journey. And that's what I've been sharing with women. So, yes. So, and I'm going to talk more about that, hopefully later. And I definitely try to do that on my social media channels, but I just wanted to reiterate that really, really quickly. So thank you
Oh,
for allowing me to
no.
do that, Morgan.
Girl, say your things. I'm here for it because it makes sense. Because I literally wrote down while you were talking, a maker, dot, dot, dot. That makes sense. Like the things that you were saying, it makes sense why you'd want to talk to people and understand connecting your job, which I think made sense as to why you made sure you say, well, die day, this is what I do. So, I like full circle things. I'm here for it. But yes, I definitely want to know like the best piece of advice you have for like a newly engaged or a newly married woman.
Absolutely. So I've got three high level pieces of advice that kind of just come to mind. And the first one, which may seem very cliche, and me and my husband talk about this all the time, is just really learning to be patient with not only yourself, but also your partner. And like I'd mentioned before, there is no book on how to have the perfect marriage. And I think when you get that ring, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm ready. I know what I'm going to do, but you have no idea what twists and turns um, you're going to have on this, amazing and rewarding ride that you've got with your husband. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of happiness, there's going to be a lot of sadness, a lot of challenges. But, it's one of those things where I think that if you can be patient together and be open to learning together and be forgiving, I think that that is one of the pieces of advice that I would give newly engaged women. So being patient. The second one would be to communicate and not just talking, because I think that's what people think like, oh, well, I talk to my partner, but it's really taking time to actively listen to them and then really take time to understand, what they're communicating word wise, what you're hearing, and then also being able to see what type of body language is being communicated as well. I think body language is telling. Like my husband, he can tell sometimes by the way I'm sitting or by a facial expression that something is not right. And so, of course, that takes years to build, but
I
I
say
think
that. That's that 10 years showing up right there.
he was like, "You're sitting that way. What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "You don't know me." And I'm like, "You do know me." Um, and then the last piece of advice, as a change management, professional, I would just say embrace change. Like you guys are in this to grow together. And I think a lot of people, um, those I'll just say, close friends and acquaintances that I have seen where their relationships have maybe not been able to be as successful as they wanted them to be, or maybe it has resulted in divorce or separation. I think that where they probably struggled was they didn't realize that when you're married, it's really growing on a journey together. You're both growing at your own different paces. Like I'm growing, my husband Gilbert is growing, but it's, are you guys in this to grow together, and try to figure out how to balance that. So, if you want things to stay the same, then I would say don't even think about marriage, because it's not going to stay the same. The way I felt 10 years ago is not the way I felt 3 years ago, is not the way I felt or the way I do things today. So those
Right.
are my three pieces.
I love all of those. Definitely the thing that I'm noticing, I even had a podcast about it, like evolving versus changing. So like embracing that change that happens with your partner is something I wish someone would have told me. So, thank you for that.
Yeah.
uh,
And I think,
so
I think too, sometimes like our parents and, those people that we look up to marriage wise, Morgan, I think sometimes they do give us like that cliche information, or sometimes they may not even feel that it's important. They're like, oh, they'll just figure it out. People change, but they don't really talk about it. We're so consumed with, like I said, now it's how can we have this fabulous engagement, bachelorette party, photo shoot? How can I get this big ring? How can I get my ceremony to go viral? Or how can I create this experience and not think about how they're thinking about how do I create a temporary experience instead of
mhm,
a lifetime experience and
yeah.
everything that goes into that.
My mom always says, have the wedding, or like, oh, I'm going to jack it up. She says it so many times. Basically, she's saying, like, you can plan your wedding, but like, live your marriage, like, focus on the marriage is basically what she's saying. She's
Yeah.
going to get on me for not saying her blessed quote. You're a mom. You moms have all them things y'all be saying all the
Like,
time. And
okay.
it comes when it needs to come. I know what she meant. But
I know exactly what you mean too. I know what you're saying.
I wanted to get your take on, since I don't want to talk about nobody else's business, I want to talk about some celebrity business. We're gonna keep it funky.
I'm
I
here
don't want
for it. Yes, bring it on.
to. Okay, so I want to say it was the top of this year where there was this whole you dig about Lori Harvey versus Sierra's prayer versus Lori Harvey's finesse because um the backstory, from what I understand, is that after Sierra, the singer folks get into it,
Yeah,
was with Future and that whole debacle that ended in a beautiful child, but a very, like, I guess, really bad breakup,
yeah,
So then
yeah,
she prayed for someone like her husband now, which is that Wilson, that quarterback of the Seahawks or something like that.
yeah.
Russell Wilson, there we go. Look at
Mhm,
that
mhm.
pullback. But then
Yeah,
people were like, do you want to have that type of prayer, or do you want to have Lori Harvey's life where she's out here dating dudes and doing her thing? Reportedly she might have been with the son and the father.
oh, yeah, Diddy, right?
Diddy.
Diddy's son, Diddy and son.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's just like living her best life. I mean, she's like in her 20s, like do her thing.
Yeah.
So, what is your take on that? That whole Sierra's prayer versus Lori's finesse. Do
Oh
you
my,
have a preference? Do you think women should even be thinking like that? I mean, what's your take?
oh my gosh. That is a good question. Uh, so honestly, like when I really think about it, I love both.
Me
And
too.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and I know that, so I know Sierra's in her 30s and, Lori's in her 20s. But, it's interesting when people say, this is Sierra's prayer, and, that she, really put this in place. And I definitely agree, from a spiritual aspect, that we pray for certain things that we
Right.
want to come to fruition. We also manifest those things as well. Um, but looking at both women, I mean, gosh, they are both beautiful women, even though we'll take looks out of the piece. I would say that I like the fact, and I think that if women can do a combination of both, why not? You know? And I don't think, I know that I did read some stuff. And I say stuff, I read articles where people kind of said, all right, well, that's cool if you're young to do that. But my thing
Mhm.
is, if you're in your 30s and you still want to date, different guys to kind of get a feel, like go for it. Like that's how you're going to find the guy, that's for you. It's like trying on a ton of different shoes. Like, how women are. We can't just try on one pair. We got to try on
Mm-mm.
several.
Couple of them. For me, it's blouses. I need a couple outfits. I need a couple blouses.
There
I
you
can wear one pair of jeans, but I need a couple blouses. I gotta
go.
have different tops.
Yeah, but I mean, like, why not? Like, I think that I think for women to really figure out what they want. You've got to date all types of guys. You've got to date those ones that you're just head over heels in love with, but maybe, things don't go your way, and even though I would never recommend somebody seeking a toxic relationship, I will say this, there are lessons to be learned. And I think Sierra has done an excellent job of communicating that there
Mm-hmm.
were certain decisions that she had made that led her to be in the unfortunate toxic relationship she was in with Future. But what Sierra did was she realized and she recognized that behavior, and she said, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to change. I must change if I want to see different results. And so she
Right.
conscious effort. But how did she get to that point? She did the Lori Harvey approach. She dated this guy, that guy, to be like, okay, this works, doesn't work, boom, and now she's found Russell, and they appear to be very, very happy. And
Right.
I hope that they, continue along, because I just absolutely love the two of them.
Oh yeah, you're right. They definitely do
Yeah,
look very happy, and I love seeing their stuff on social media. I'm like, oh my gosh, so
I
the
know.
kids and everything she said. I'm like, oh god. I
Yeah,
I think that's one thing I just love seeing. I love seeing love. Love is beautiful, but something about seeing black love, seeing black people together,
yeah,
um, and I feel like just because families have been easily separated due to death or being killed or
yeah.
incarceration within the black community, that seeing people together, and yes, they're celebrities. Again, we're talking about celebrities because I'm not trying to be anybody's business, but just
Yeah.
seeing them together, or seeing just black couples together, really is like something to aspire to. Now, personally, I had my grandparents on here the first season, and that was like my first like
Mhm.
love episode. And they've been together for 60 years, right? They're in their 80s.
Wow.
And unfortunately, my grandfather, he has been away from my grandmother for a while because he hasn't been very well.
Mm.
Um, and so he had a fall, and he just hasn't been very well since then. And so, like, what'd you say?
I was saying, I'm so sorry to hear. I hope
Oh,
he
thank
gets
you.
better. Yeah.
Thank you. It's just, I feel for my grandmother because I know like that's the only person she's loved like that. And it just hurts. But like seeing them as an example, even my grandparents on my mom's side of the family, they're no longer with me, but I just like, seeing those different couples and different people in my life has really shown me that you need to date, like you said, dating around is good,
Mhm.
but it's okay to have like it's I mean dating around, it's okay to have a lot of fun. I went on dates. I had some boyfriends, so I did my thing. I'm with the finesse.
Yeah, go for it. Like,
My
I feel
college
like
years were
you can't,
great.
like, as a woman, you should not limit yourself. Do not date in a box. And I know there are some women that are just kind of like, no, this is what I need to do. Yeah, like, girl, you only live once. If you don't go out there and date that guy, you know what I'm saying? You never know. You
Yeah,
have no clue. So you might as well. The worst you can say is, well, that was a bad decision. And then you
yeah.
just move
Move
on.
on. Exactly. Hey, see me
You
right.
move on.
And so while we talking about celebrities, this is my last celebrity question. But well, until we play the game, then we're gonna go back to the celebrities. But it's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I recently watched that Wendy Williams movie, and you don't need to watch this movie to know what's the deal. Like, she's divorced now. The relationship ended not so well, and there was cheating, and in my opinion, like ego and codependency and like trauma love, all these things that were just not good in a relationship. And
Mm.
so my question to you is, what do you think are those red flags when we're dating? Like kind of like how Sierra had with her future, but like what do you think are those red flags when you're dating? I know my red flags, but what is your take?
Look, I have a whole list, okay, red flags like in my head. Well, I'll just first and foremost say this. Like, as women, like, our intuition and gut instinct is so good. Like, we know when we meet a guy, if something does not feel right, it's just we choose to ignore that feeling and just be like, well, I'm gonna give him a chance, or be like, oh, maybe I should just kind of push that feeling that I have to the side because, he's probably a good guy or we might be able to build something, but we always see the red flags. We always do, especially once we get out of the relationship. We were like, man, he did this, this, and this. Like, we should have known. We should have known better. So in terms of red flags, one of the red flags I would say that's coming to mind for me is that if you are dating an individual, and we'll just say you've been dating them for some time, but you don't see any growth with them, and you just kind of see them just being real stagnant or not wanting to move the relationship forward. I think that if you're at that stage where you're looking for some sort of committed relationship, maybe say, all right, that's like my legit boyfriend slash girlfriend type of thing. Or if you're looking to actually be married to someone, if you don't see any progress or that person doesn't seem like they're maturing the way you would like to see them to mature so that you guys can really be a true partnership, I would say that's a red flag. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's something that I would encourage women to think about. You can't, I would say your time is precious. For you to sit and date a guy for 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years or whatever, and you're not seeing, I mean, personally, I think some of those time frames can get excessive, but really think about that. If you're growing, but they're not growing, like, yeah, that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the second one that comes to mind is that if they don't vibe with your family or your friends, it's not going to work. Because the thing is, and this is in my opinion, that if you have, at least I'll say, a solid relationship, it doesn't have to be an amazing relationship with your family, but I'm hoping if you have your friends that you actually like your friends. But, if there's somebody that's, really confrontational or defensive or is not interested in getting to know, your friends or family, I would say that's a red flag. Because once you guys again get into a committed relationship and you decide you might want to walk down the aisle with this person, you're spending the rest of your life with them and you don't want to have any type of drama later on with them.
I'm shaking my head to that one too.
Let me see. I would also say probably to piggyback off of that, like someone that's not open to feedback or they're defensive about everything. So part of being in a relationship is being able, like I said originally, a little earlier, is being able to communicate. And my husband Gilbert is constantly like, we're always talking to each other. I give him feedback, he gives me feedback. And the thing is, like, if you are doing that early on in the relationship and that person seems to like get offended and they shut down or they start having attitude, if that's just while you all are dating, imagine what it's going to be like when you're married.
Girl.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. You need somebody that wants to say, all right, how do we how do we collaborate? How do we compromise? How do we find some happy medium?
Mm-hmm.
And I will say in marriage, it's never always 50-50. People will say it is. Sometimes it might be 70-30%. Sometimes it might be 60-40. Sometimes it's 50-50, but you got to come to some compromise. Um,
80-20, 90-10. I mean, girl,
wait,
keep it
wait,
real.
and that's for us women. That's for the wives. We always win, right? So it's not for the husbands to win. Let me see.
Maybe just one more, you think?
Yeah, I would say, hmm, they don't support you. That's
Mm,
what I would say.
that's a big red flag. Wow. I mean, there's a flag on the plate.
Yeah,
That's a big one.
yeah. And they don't make you feel good about yourself. And there's a lot of
Mm,
women that are in relationships with men that don't support them, don't support their dreams, and don't lift them up and let them know they're the queens that they are. And if he can't do that while you're dating, uh-uh, no, move on, move on.
I
So,
got one I know my mom says. She always says you want to date someone that's good to you and good for you.
yes,
Yes. Go ahead,
yes,
mom, with the
yes, mom.
sayings. We got that one right.
I'm
Okay.
giving mom a virtual high five over the
Yeah.
call.
Bloop.
So.
But okay, so and another one that I could think of when I was in a relationship, I thought he was it, boo. Like I at the credentials on paper, he just seemed like, yes, I'm about to be Mrs. So and so, and but that man would never hold my hand in public.
What?
And I'm like, why is
Affection in
he
public? Ugh.
like, why is he will never, and I remember like grabbing his hand and he would kind of flick me off like Melania style, you know what I'm saying? And so uh ooh, red flag for me, Kacie, for
No,
real.
because
But
that's like kind of like your love language. You want to feel
yes,
that affection. So I get it. I get it,
but
girl.
I didn't know about the love languages then. Like me and my husband, that's funny that you mentioned that. Me and my husband actually have the same love languages: physical touch and quality time. Oh, we
Yeah.
have the same, which is
Oh,
bomb.
perfect. Yes, that is awesome. That is awesome.
And then I just remember that off the top of the dome. But yes, okay, but okay. So we've talked about the bad, the red flags and all that good stuff. But what would you say are some healthy habits? Maybe just like two healthy habits in a marriage.
Yeah. Okay, let me think. I would say taking time, I would say a healthy habit, at least for me and my husband, is that, we take time to find common interests, that we can both do, and it's really just so that we can maintain our connection, personally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, sexually, but just really making sure that we find time to bond. And it doesn't have to be over some crazy trip to the Maldives, which I cannot wait to travel once COVID is gone. Um,
Girl.
but it could just be us like sitting and binge watching stuff on Netflix, or it could be us, doing cooking. We love to work out together. So, it's really just taking time to have a common interest in just enjoying each other. So that's to me one healthy habit in a marriage. And then the second one, this is a little bit about not only being married, but also having two little kids. I've got a 1 year old and I've got a 4 year old. I've got a 1 year old that's like going on 22. So she thinks she's like really grown. But but what I've learned is that you really have to being in a healthy marriage. You have to also be able to be a good team. You have to feel that you can rely on them, that they're willing to trade off duties. Like my husband is phenomenal. Like, he's okay with doing laundry. He can do our daughter's hair. And I know there are a lot of men that might feel that that's outside of their duty, that maybe that is for women. But in 2021, in our marriage, I have found that, being a really good, tag team or partner in crime has really made us have a healthy, thriving marriage because I don't feel like I have to take on the burden of a lot of things that I know some women do have to in their relationships. So,
I love that. The team player is so much to me. Like I joke on my lives when I do my cooking lives that because I'm messy when I cook, and I always say, "Oh, the maid's gonna come and clean it up," and I'm referring to my husband. I really need to probably stop doing that, but because I don't want anybody to think I have a maid or that I look down at my husband and just call him the maid. Like no, like like when we first got into this relationship, I was in grad school and he would do the dishes a lot when he would come over because I just didn't have time, and so it never stopped. And he's like, I really like doing dishes, it's very relaxing to me. So I'm like, okay, cool, the maid. So
right. That's
having
awesome.
that teamwork
Yes.
and sharing interests, like we love wine, we love food, we love family. So like I agree with both of those things that you said.
Yeah.
And before I let you go, I did want to play a quick game of
Let's
my
do
favorite game.
it. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
I need
Well,
you to tell me how to do it, but I'm
okay.
ready.
I will. And I don't normally do this. I don't normally just give names of people, but because this is about love, I allowed it. But I grouped them together. So the Michaels. All right. Who are you marrying? Who are you dating? Who are you dumping? Michael Ealy, Michael B. Jordan, or Michael Strahan? First of
Oh,
all, do you know all these people?
yes, I do. Sorry, I was processing it in my head. So you said, who am I dumping?
Yeah, who are you dating? Who are you marrying? Who are you dating? Who are you dumping?
What am I Oh my gosh, that's so tricky. Okay.
I
Uh,
know.
because they're both like
All
they
three of
seem
them.
both so cool.
Okay, Ely.
Okay,
I want to make
Ely,
sure you got him.
Michael
Ely,
B. Jordan,
Jordan,
and
and Strahan.
Strahan. Okay. Um, all right. So I would say, all right, I'm gonna go with my gut. Um, I would I would marry Michael Strahan. And the reason being is just because of the way I've seen him engage
Yeah.
uh, on TV. He looks like he's so much fun. Like he's hilarious. He's very personable. He seems like he really enjoys family, like with his girls. And so for me, I love a man, hence why I married my husband, that can make me laugh, that can make me feel special, that I would enjoy, and that's also willing to do crazy things. Like I saw Michael Strahan like doing something on a stripper pole, like for one of his like Good Morning America things. So like I'm like, that's extreme. Like I need a man that feels comfortable doing things outside of the norm. So I would marry Strahan. Um, you said the other one was date, right?
Yeah,
So
date or dump.
okay, so I would have my finesse like Lori. So I would date Michael B. Jordan. So I would date him. And I feel bad, but I would dump Michael Ealy, even though I liked him in the what was the movie with Tahari, P. Henson. What was that movie? Even though
Ooh.
I forget, Think Like a Man. Wait,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
act
Okay,
like
think
a
like a
man,
man.
things
Yeah,
that think
think
like a
like a
man.
man. Yes, that's it. Yep, that's
Yeah,
it. But
how do I forget that? But
the Steve Harvey book that's based off of, yeah, that my dad made me
exactly.
read. I remember.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, either way, for me, it's more the personality and experience. I know for some women it might be looks
The
first,
looks.
but yeah, that's who I would. That's who I would stick with.
I
Yeah.
agree with you just because I don't like an overly handsome guy. So I stand stump what you, I stand at stump. Yeah, I approve what you just said. Stamp of approval. That's what I was trying to say.
All
Woo.
right.
Okay, so here's the next one. Conversations, cuddling, or kissing. Which one are you marrying? Which one are you dating? Which one are you dumping? Now that's normally how I play the game. I let you have an easy one the first round.
Dang, conversations, cuddling, or kissing.
Kissing. Yep.
Conversations first, because clearly I'm a talker. So, wait, I'm marrying that, right? That's what.
Right, you're marrying that. Yep.
I guess I'll date the kissing. Yeah, you gotta have that affection and dumping the cuddling, probably. Yeah, I would say, yeah, yeah.
I was with you
Okay.
and say, look, I'm probably gonna date them all because I need them all. You know what I mean?
I mean, you really do. I'm like, darn it, how do I pick? But look, yeah, and my husband will be like, you need to make sure the kissing is up in there. But
Okay, look, let's make sure Gilbert gets his kisses. Okay, look, all right, all right. Last one for you, and you know this one is Sierra's relationship, Lori Harvey's
mm,
quotation freedom, or Oprah's partnership. Which one are you marrying? Which one are you dating? Which one are you dumping?
I'm marrying Sierra's marriage because I just love them.
Yeah.
I am gonna date Oprah's partnership because it works for them. And Lori's freedom, oh, I'm dumping that because that joint, we all know that might be gone in like a couple of months. But hey, you had a good time. So it is what it is.
Ugh, I think yeah, I stamp of approval on that. I mean,
All
yeah, I
right.
agree with you because I don't know, the single life was not my friend. I had a whole song about it. I just couldn't be out here dipping and doing. And now she got it. Go ahead, Lori. Go ahead, boo. But I mean,
It takes
she's in
work.
her she's in her 20s. I'm in my 30s. I don't know how old you are, but like that's beyond me. So let's just let that go. Let's just go ahead and let that go. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. This has been super fun.
You have been amazing, Morgan. I'm so excited. I can't wait to collaborate again.
Oh,
So this
I
was
look
so
forward.
amazing.
Oh, I look forward to that. All right, listeners, we're going on to the positive tip, but Casey, you stay there.
Okay.
The positive tip. Oh, I'm so excited to have Casey on the podcast. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from our conversation was I love the healthy relationships when she said like communications and common interests and but like I mentioned when we were talking, I think it's really important to know that people are going to evolve and change. And I learned that in the first couple of years of my marriage. And now, if I had somebody that would say something that obvious, I feel like I wouldn't have freaked out as much as I did. Like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Da, da, da. So that's what this podcast is all about. Like, we are here to have those conversations about wife life and all the facets that there are. And so I was just so appreciative to have Kacie on the podcast. And if you gain value from this episode, please share with a friend. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a minute of all that we have in store. And definitely wherever podcast platform you're in, please leave me a review, 5 stars, 5 stars. And I'd love a written review too. That would be super dope. Okay. So next episode is going to be on, not next week, but the week after. So the 4th of March. And I am talking to some boss babes in March. And I can't wait for you to meet Miss Jasmine Raylin. We talk all about mom life, being a owner of a public relations firm. So buckle in for that. Okay, as always, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Young Black Misses. Also, find me on YouTube, Young Black Misses, and my website, youngblackmisses.com. Check out the blog. Okay, I've talked enough. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for listening. Peace.